Are you someone who experiences or suffers from chronic pain, that is, pain that has lasted more than 3 months? Are you someone who's maybe thought about something or thought in this way of, if my pain goes away, then I can live my life again? So I'm gonna give you a few moments to reflect on that, right? Another one may be, if my pain goes away, then I can go back to work. If my pain goes away, then I can do exercise. If my pain goes away, then I can go out and hang out or socialize. If my pain goes away, then I can do something fun or hang out with my kids or my grandkids. If my pain goes away, then I can go back to school. If my pain goes away, then I can this and that. So why do you think we think like that? And if you've thought like that, why do you think it's actually a common thing to think if this, then that, especially when it comes to pain? Well, I kind of have a theory, and that's probably because it's to protect us, right? Pain is actually a protective mechanism, and it's our body's way of telling us to slow down or to stop doing something, right? It alerts us. So in modern day, I often wonder how that's different in contrast to back in the day, right? Back in the day, we probably had things like predators, and we really had to worry about like what we live next to, like out in the wild or something, like bears, lions, tigers, right? We have to feel pain, such as getting bit by one, right? Hopefully not. Or if we're running away and we like twist our ankle or something, we need to be aware of that after we return to safety so that we can tend to it and be careful so that we know that next time we may not be able to run as fast. Maybe we need to change our advantages and our strategy, right? Now, fast forward to modern day society, most of us don't have that kind of danger. And more of the things that cause like alerts and stress, anxiety are maybe family related, right? Social related, work, school, volunteering, everyday life, or just random things like, like traffic, car accidents, natural disasters, right? So I would say a lot different types of things that may cause our body to be worried and stressed out and alerted. And these things can also manifest actually in chronic pain. So when we think, oh, if my pain goes away, then something else, I think it's probably a lot of protective mechanisms there because, even though we may not think it's logical, and if we were to really question our thinking, we may come to the conclusion that, yeah, it may be not so logical, but the easier thing to do is to protect our body, right? When it comes to pain, like especially chronic pain, we think about it. Yeah, there's physical, right? We feel the pain. We definitely know where it feels like. Like if you had low back pain, you know what low back pain feels like, right? But a big component that has often been overlooked, and even pain scientists, therapists, doctors are now looking into it more, is the psychology of pain and how that actually affects your pain and goes both ways. It can make your pain worse and also can improve it. So when we think about things like, oh, if I have no pain, then I can go and do something else, that may actually make things worse and pile onto the pain, add to the pain, because you're just thinking about it a lot, right? So if you think about it kind of like that, if something is just on your mind so much, it can even give you anxiety, and that may cause you stress. And we're kind of showing now in the research that more stress actually adds to more pain. So it's kind of like a vicious cycle. But I want to go back to just this simple kind of, if my pain goes away, then something else statement. It's kind of interesting because we impose these rules or these restrictions on us that may not necessarily be quite logical or really make much sense, if you know what I mean. Like, why do we impose it so that like a rule like, oh, if my pain goes away, then yeah, I can finally do all these things. Like, for example, if my pain goes away, then I can go and socialize with my friends. Now, is that necessarily true that all of your pain needs to go away for you in order to socialize with your friends? No, right? You can socialize them in a modified manner, such as hanging out with them, maybe not doing as much strenuous activity that may cause the pain. Maybe you went on hikes with your friend, right? Then maybe you could just go on short walks with your friend. So that in itself is kind of a dispute to your thinking. And when we are in pain, we may kind of fall into that trap and just kind of whatever our thinking goes, especially when it comes to pain, may be the reality or the best logical action or the behavior to take when we all know that it's not necessarily true, right? So are there other kind of if-then statements, not necessarily related to pain, that you have thought of that you maybe have overcome or thought were silly in your life? Here are some examples, right? If I get straight A's, then I'm smart. Not necessarily true, right? You could be smart maybe with book smart or a certain subject, but how many of you have gotten like a lot of straight A's but have flunked a certain subject or something, right? If I'm a really good student in one subject doesn't mean I'm not smart if I fail a specific one, like I'm terrible at music, right? I don't have musical ability, right? There's a lot of abilities and intelligence out there, right? But we kind of impose or put this kind of generalized thinking when it comes to this kind of thinking. Similarly, for those of you who are working adults, right? If I get a high paying job, then I'll be happy. Is that necessarily true? No, right? You can be happy in many other ways and not necessarily just high paying job. In fact, some high paying jobs maybe come with more stress compared to lower paying jobs, right? Or similarly, if I make lots of money, then I'll be happy. You know, actually one thing I have a book about what to do after you win the lottery. And they showed a lot of people who actually won the lottery have had really bad luck and just bad things come their way, probably because they have a lot of money now, like sudden like fortune, and they aren't much happier despite what you would normally think. So that definitely isn't true all of the time, right? Probably some of the time, and there's a lot of gray areas. Or something along the lines of, how about if I meet someone special, then I'll be happy. Now, is that necessarily true? Relationships take work, right? Or how about this one? If I eat healthier, then I'll be more healthy. Now, is eating healthy just one component of being healthy? No, right? You also need to manage your stress, control your physical problems, like take medications if you are on any. Maybe you need to do more exercise, right? It's the whole picture. How about this one? If my partner sleeps with me, that means that they love me. Now, is that necessarily true? What a love language is, right? And then going back to the main topic of this video, if my pain would only go away, then I would be able to do this or that or live my life. When I think the if and then statement is not necessarily a black and white, like absolutely bad thing and you shouldn't think like this or you should feel bad, right? Because it's natural to feel like this or think like this if you thought like this regarding pain. But one thing you can do is actually flip it and turn it into a positive. So rather than, if my pain goes away, then I'll do this and that, how about flip it around so that you think, when I do not have pain, then I can do something that I really want to. So, pretty interesting, huh? It's taking that negative and flipping it into the positive. But if that even is something really hard for you to do because you're in pain or you just can't really get out of that funk, the broader thing, the more easier thing to do is to think about, reflect about, what are the things that you value most in your life? What are the things that are most important to you? Or if a friend were to describe you as a person like, oh, this person, like you, I would say they are this or that quality, or I really like or admire this quality about them. And then from that, you can really remember and apply those values to how you achieve goals that may fall under those values or actions that you can take. So when I say values, what are those things? That could be anything from the very typical, like, oh, I want to value family or relationships, or it could be just anything that society values. And it is very cultural dependent. It's based on you. And I'm not judging what your values are as long as they're not like, you know, like breaking the law, right? It could be, I value making a lot of money. I want to have a lot of power. I want to have a lot of influence, or I want to make a difference in the world. I want to treat my environment better. I want to be remembered for this or that, or I want to make a difference in this community, or I want to be closer to faith. Whatever it is that you value, we all have some values. Think about what those are and how keeping pain in your mind may prevent you from doing those things. So one way I can describe it is, if I were to magically wave a magic wand and have your pain go away, just like that, what would you be doing? What's to stop you from doing those things? It's pain. But what if you are in pain like for a really, really long time. Is it going to keep you from doing this big list of things that you really, really want to do? It probably has, and it probably can. And it's just a simple thing like pain. But a lot of people have overcome pain, maybe even treated pain to be able to do many, many things in their lives. So I hope that is very inspirational and hopeful for you, because it is possible. This thing that you feel called pain actually can get better over time. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take many, many months. If you have pain for many, many years, if you think about it, you have to kind of reverse the course, and you'll have to be really, really patient to reverse it, to feel less and less of pain up until the point where it's very, very minimal, maybe even can completely go away. Every person is different, so that you can actually live your life again. So if you think about it, it doesn't have to be extremes like if, then that. Why not live on a spectrum? Whereas if you think about it like my opposite kind of thinking, if I have windows of pain-free moments, then I can do small things that are meaningful, make me happier, make me want to achieve my goals, or whatever it is that you really want to be doing or you've given up because of your pain. So I encourage you to really challenge your thinking when it comes to what you're thinking in your head, and if it's necessarily true, and if this roadblock of pain is stopping you from doing the things that you really want to do when it shouldn't be the case. And with all of this, how can we make a change, right? I can give you all the best information. I myself just one person on the internet. But one thing that has been shown to help people make a change, of course, goes back to their thinking, right? It all goes back to what your thoughts are, what you're ultimately going to be thinking after you click off this video and finish watching. We have what we call self-talk, and we talk to ourselves and we think about it in ourselves and we debate in our head, right? Kind of like the devil and the, angel or whatever, like on our shoulders, right? And we have kind of a pros and cons list. And if you think about what I talked about in values, I stated some examples, right? And there are hundreds, probably thousands of values that people have, and they're all interconnected and they're all unique. Some may even evolve over time, right? You may have higher values than others. Nonetheless, there is such a huge pro list of things you can be doing, which are your values and your goals. And if you think about it, the only thing that's on your con list is pain. Now, if you had chronic pain, you probably know your body really well and it hasn't killed you already, right? You don't have to go to the emergency room. It's not life or death. You're managing it overall pretty okay. I would imagine for the most of you, you can do very basic things like do some minimal walking, and get dressed, eat, maybe like do a shower, maybe not as long as you want to, but you can still do a lot of basic things and you do have a lot of strengths. So pain isn't necessarily stopping you from living your life. You're still living your life somewhat. And if you think about that pro-con list in your head, con is just pain. And the ironic thing is with how pain works is the more you actually do things very gradually, not like all of a sudden, the more that you'll notice that pain goes away. First of all, you're distracted by a lot of things, right? If you're doing the things that you enjoy, you're probably not going to notice your pain as much. But two, your pain actually goes down because your brain trains yourself and gets used to doing these things and you're okay with it. So the last takeaway from me for this video is just to know that, yeah, pain hurts, but to kind of just go into that realm of pain, tease into it with your activities, start very, very slow and just see. Don't go way overboard and knock yourself out with pain, but kind of just experiment with your body and do what you want to do. Like just start really small and you'll be very surprised at how much you thought you couldn't do with pain. And the cool thing about body is we can improve our condition. And with more and more increase in activity with things that we enjoy, especially, the more that we can do, because what's really cool is our brain releases natural like drugs, like endorphins and like hormones and stuff to help us actually fight the pain naturally. And that's the really, really cool part. So hope this helps. Let me know what you think about some of these points. What are some things that you value and have given up? What are some silly thoughts you might have had regarding the if and then statement? Let me know in the comments.